Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Gopinaya Namo Namaha नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 7th chapter, shlok 41. अथोपेत्य स्वशिबिराम्
Shibiram.
गोविंद प्रिय सारथी
Govinda Priyasarthi.
न्यवेदयत् तं प्रियायै शोचन्त्य आत्मजन् हतन्
Shochantya Atmajan Hatan.
Prabhuji, I can share now.
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Okay, would someone like to read this translation purpose?
I can try, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Hare Krishna. After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons. Purport: the transcendental relation of Arjuna with Krishna is of the dearmost friendship. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself has claimed Arjuna as his dearmost friend. Every living being is thus related with the Supreme Lord by some sort of affectionate relation, either as servant, or as friend, or as parent, or as an object of conjugal love. Everyone thus can enjoy the company of the Lord in the spiritual realm if he at all desires and sincerely tries for it by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna. So Mataji, maybe you can explain, though I can just think, but it will be better if you explain, Mataji or Prabhuji.
Mataji, in this one, so basically Arjuna and Krishna went back to the camp and he gave he handed Ashwathama to Draupadi, and Draupadi was lamenting for her murdered sons. And in purport, Prabhupada is saying how Krishna is the dearmost friend of Arjuna. So they have, we know that we always say that the Sakya Ras is when we give the example of Sakya Ras, or the out of Navda Bhakti, when we say Sakya Bhav, that Arjuna is given as the most prominent example of that. So, so here Prabhupada is basically saying that everyone enjoys some kind of relationship with Krishna, and Arjuna's relationship is that of his dearmost friend. but someone may be enjoying as a servant or as a parent or as conjugal love. But in one way or the other, we all have a relationship with Krishna. And so by the process of bhakti yoga, one can explore, one can realize our eternal position, what is our relationship with Krishna. And that is only possible after executing pure devotional service. So that is a very, very advanced level of prema bhakti, after which one realizes this. So this is referring to the various rasas that we have talked about before, which Prabhuji also talks about, that you have to realize these because it is difficult to otherwise explain them. It is something that you have to experience, and then they can be. But for just understanding purpose, we just know that there are different relationships one can have, or everybody has their own relationship with Krishna. So here there is relationship of friendship. Would anyone else like to add anything?
Not me, Mataji, you explained it.
Okay, would someone like to read this one?
I can try, Mataji.
Yes.
Tatha hritam pashuvat. Sorry. Tatha hritam pashuvat pasha buddham. No, not this tune.
Mataji, like Karpanya dosha, I think.
Okay, Mataji. Tatha hritam pashuvat pashabaddham.
Taritam pasuvatpasabadham
Avan mukham karma jugupasitena.
avan karma jugustitena
Nirikshaya Krishna kritam guru sutam.
Nirikshaya Krishna Putritam Gurusutam
Vama vasvabhavana kripaya nanamacha.
Svabhava
Nanamacha. Okay, translation. Sri Suta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Ashwathama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. Purport. Ashwathama was condemned by the Lord himself, and he was treated by Arjuna just like a culprit, not like the son of a Brahman or teacher. But when he was brought before Srimati Draupadi, she, although be grieved for the murder of her sons, and although the murderer was present before her, could not withdraw the due respect generally offered to a Brahmana or to the son of a Brahmana. This is due to her mild nature as a woman. Women as a class are no better than boys, and therefore they have no discriminatory power like that of a man. Ashwathama proved himself to be an unworthy son of Dronacharya or of a Brahman, and for this reason he was condemned by the greatest authority, Lord Shri Krishna. And yet a mild woman could not withdraw her natural courtesy for a Brahmana. Okay. Even to date, in a Hindu family, a woman shows proper respect to the Brahmana caste, however fallen and heinous a Brahmana bandhu may be. But the men have begun to protest against Brahmana bandhus who are born in families of good Brahmanas but by action are less than Shudras. The specific word in the shloka is Vama Swabhava, mild and gentle by nature. A good man or woman accepts anything very easily, but a man of average intelligence does not do so. But anyway, we should not give up our reason and discriminatory power just to be gentle. One must have good discriminatory power to judge a thing on its merit. We should not follow the mild nature of a woman and thereby accept that which is not genuine. Ashwathama may be respected, a good natured woman, but that does not mean that he is as good as a genuine Brahmana. Okay. So here they are telling about the Draupadi, that how she behaved. After knowing that Ashwathama was a murderer of her sons, and she saw her tied in ropes, but then still she could not withdraw the due respect generally offered to a Brahmana. So because she was from that culture, so she showed the due respect to the Brahmana. And here it said that women as a class are no better than boys, and therefore they have no discriminatory power like that of a man. Mataji, can you explain that? I could not understand this here. So they are saying that they are equally judging people in the particular situation. So it's not that women can judge better or a man can judge better.
Mataji, which line is this?
It's here, Mataji. Could not withdraw. Women as a class are no better than boys, and therefore they have no discriminatory power like that of a man. So they are same.
Mataji, this is basically saying that they are like child, right? Child, like simple, that accepting a person as such, not discriminating, not like a mature man. Basically, boys means basically like a young, like a child, right?
Yes, Mataji.
So basically, he's saying that they're not discriminating too much and just kind of simply taking the person as such as he is. So if this is Ashwathama is a Brahmana, so she's giving him due respect that a Brahmana should get, not discriminating that he's actually not behaved like a Brahmana.
But Mataji, in the previous verse, we saw that Arjuna was also actually respecting him as a Brahmana or a son of his guru, Dronacharya. So being a man, Arjuna was also doing the same thing, or that's, I don't know.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, so he was also feeling compassion, not so much because of being a Brahmana, but because he is a son of his guru, that he was feeling compassion for him, but not necessarily that he was considering him to be a Brahman. But here they're saying that she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. So, so even though he was dragged there like an animal, bound with ropes like an animal, Pashuvat, the shloka says, right? Pashuvat.
Right. Yes,
Pashabadam. So he was bound with ropes like an animal, like a Pashu. But she still gave him due respects that of a Brahman. Whereas when Arjun was not killing him, it was mostly because he was feeling compassion. Yeah. So here Prabhupada is mostly talking about the gentle nature of a woman, that she's more mild-mannered and gentle, Vama Swabhava, like in the shloka says. So, so women have that nature to accept things, as such, and not.
They cannot discriminate, right?
Not
Like a man.
Yes. So she was a good-natured, cultured woman who was, brought up like that in that age, in that time and age, to respect Brahmanas. that all that culture is gone now. So it is not
Yes.
applicable to Kali Yuga women. I mean, they don't respect anybody, forget Brahmana. So it's not necessary. I mean, it's talking about that particular age and time when Draupadi, being the brought up in a royal household, she was brought up to respect Brahmanas, and so she's still looking at him as a Brahman who's son of her husband's guru, and as such to be respected.
Right.
So out of her such long habit and disciplining of treating Brahmanas with respect, she's still treating this one with respect also.
Yeah, right. But here Prabhupada is saying in the third paragraph that a good man or a woman accepts anything very easily. So, but a man of average intelligence does not do so. But anyway, we should not give up our reasons uh, of discriminatory power just to be gentle. So we should actually, like it's saying here, that discriminatory power on judge on a thing on its merit. So you should judge things on its merit actually. So you cannot just say because you are mild in nature, or you think you are a woman, so this vama swabhava, because of this you cannot just agree with everything, or you should accept everything. You should have this judgment or intelligence to judge something on its merit, whether it's good or not good. Not necessarily that every time you say it or you show, but you should judge it on its merit. And then we should not follow the mild nature of a woman and thereby accept that which is not genuine. So uh, Prabhupada is saying here, but nowadays I don't know, maybe Prabhupada is saying that women of that era, but now I think yeah.
So Mataji, for example, it's let's say in Bhagavad Gita class today, Prabhu was discussing about how self-realized souls, how Mahatmas treat everybody equally, right? How they like Vidya Vinay Sampanna, right?
Vidya, yes.
But equally means what? So it doesn't mean that they see Paramatma in everybody, right? But
Right.
it doesn't mean that, okay, if there is a lion in front of you, they'll say, okay, this is Paramatma, I'm not going to stand in front of it. You will run. If there is you're going in a forest, there is a snake, he will bite you, you will get killed. So it doesn't mean that treating equally means that you will not discriminate and just stand there and get killed by a snake or a lion, right? So we have been given this discriminatory power and intelligence by God as well to protect oneself, or to judge how to. I mean, again, like Prabhu was saying, internally you understand that everybody has Paramatma, so you don't wish bad for anybody. You feel compassion for everybody. But externally, you may have to deal with people differently according to the situation.
Right.
Right? So even in our dealings, let's say, even though we say, yes, treat everybody equally, but we also know that there are some people that may not be good for our bhakti to progress. So we say, okay, Jansangha, Tagats and all that, right? So we have to accept the good association and try to give up the association of non or materialistic people. So we are using a discriminatory power there, judging that, okay, this is not good for my Krishna consciousness. This association is advantageous to me, so I should, so we are using our intelligence, our discriminatory power in advancement towards Krishna. So similarly, here Prabhupada is also saying that one should have that good discriminatory power to judge a thing. So he's giving a lesson here that just because he is a Brahmana by being born into a Brahman family, but he behaved in irreligious manner. So our discriminatory power says that we should not treat him as a Brahmana. We should be careful of such a person. And in our daily dealing, I mean, we come across people that are exploitative or fraudulent. So it doesn't mean that we just let them take advantage of you because we've been taught Vidya Vinasampanne. No, we have to use that intelligence to protect ourselves and our Krishna consciousness, and that is actually the true duty. That is, like Krishna was saying before, he was making Arjuna realize his sense of duty. So that is the discriminatory power Prabhupada is talking about, which one should have.
Yes, Mataji. Yes. Thank you, Mataji, for explaining.
Please others also share if anything, or correct or add anything. Okay, so should we keep going?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, would someone like to read this one? Okay, I can read this. Uvacha chasa hanti asya
Uvacha sa hantyasya
bandhananayanam sati
bandhananayanam sati
mucyatamesha
mucyatamesha
brahmano nitaram guru.
brahmano nitaram guru.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. She could not tolerate Ashwathama being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master. Purport: as soon as Ashwathama was brought before Draupadi, she thought it intolerable that a Brahmana should be arrested like a culprit and brought before her in that condition, especially when the Brahmana happened to be a teacher's son. Arjuna arrested Ashwathama knowing perfectly well that he was the son of Dronacharya. Krishna also knew him to be so, but both of them condemned the murder without consideration of his being the son of a Brahmana. According to revealed scriptures, a teacher or spiritual master is liable to be rejected if he proves himself unworthy of the position of a guru or spiritual master. A guru is called also an acharya, or a person who has personally assimilated all the essence of Shastras and has helped his disciple to adopt the ways. Ashwatthama failed to discharge the duties of a Brahmana or teacher, and therefore he was liable to be rejected from the exalted position of a Brahmana. On this consideration, both Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna were right in condemning Ashwatthama. But to a good lady like Draupadi, the matter was considered not from the angle of Shastric vision, but as a matter of custom. By custom, Ashwatthama was offered the same respect as offered to his father. It was so because generally the people accept the son of a Brahmana as a real Brahmana by sentiment only. Factually, the matter is different. A Brahmana is accepted on the merit of qualification and not on the merit of simply being the son of a Brahmana. But in spite of all this, Draupadi desired that Ashwatthama be at once released, and it was all the same a good sentiment for her. This means that a devotee of the Lord can tolerate all sorts of tribulation personally, but still such devotees are never unkind to others, even to the enemy. These are the characteristics of one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Okay, so in this shloka, so Draupadi is now now telling Arjuna to release him. She couldn't tolerate that Ashwatthama is bound in ropes like an animal. So she told Arjuna to release him because he's a Brahmana and he's son of their guru. And Prabhupada is elaborating in the purport that Krishna and Arjun both understood that Ashwatthama, even though he's son of their guru or son of Dronacharya, he's not behaved like a Brahmana. So he should be punished and treated like a murderer. So they bound him. They captured him and brought him before her like that. And we've read about this now a few times, that how a Brahmana is by their their traits, their qualifications, not by their birth. So Prabhupada is saying that it is a custom or it is a sentiment that people display that, okay, somebody is the son of a Brahmana or related to a Brahmana, so we'll give him also the due respect of a Brahmana. This is just a custom or a sentiment. But that does not make him a real Brahmana, especially when that person does something so violent and heinous like this, then he has to be condemned for that act. So, and also a guru is also an acharya. So acharya means somebody who shows by their acharan and who has learned everything from shastras, and then he teaches the same to his disciples as well. But if he acts in a very ashastric way, or his acharan is not right, then such a guru, Prabhupada is saying, such a guru should be rejected. So when a guru is not, then that guru is not worthy of the position of a guru, because he is not, his acharan, his actions are opposite to those of the shastras. So in this case also, Ashwatthama, even though son of a guru, he'll have to be rejected. And then in the end, Prabhupada is saying that Draupadi, being a pure devotee of the Lord, is very, tolerant, and she, just like any pure devotee, she is not hesitant in any, personal tribulation, like personal distress. She is okay to face that. She can tolerate that, but does not want to punish somebody else for her distress. And so she wanted Ashwatthama to be released. So we know that tolerance is the trait of a pure devotee, because they're never unkind to others. Prabhupada is saying, even to their own enemy. They don't even consider anybody their enemy, actually. So in that mood, Draupadi is also showing that sentiment that he's a Brahmana, he's the son of our guru, and he should not be treated like this in this way. And so she wants him to be released. So in the mood of a pure devotee, she is asking for his release. I think there are many, I'm sure many points that others can share in this shloka. Please, everybody feel free to add. Anisha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
I was able to, I was reminded of the incident where Shukracharya's advice was rejected by Bali Maharaj when Vaman Deva came. So that is also one instance where it is clearly said that Guru is called as an Acharya, a person who personally, the previous line maybe. It says like a Guru is a person who, just like how you said, Acharya, he shows by his behavior. And when Bali Maharaj found that the advice that was given by Shukracharya was not appropriate, it was rejected by him. So this sort of instance has happened before also.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, that's perfectly. Yeah, I was also thinking of that example. So yeah, the Guru was actually telling, Bali Maharaj that to go away, not to surrender to Vishnu, basically. And the whole purpose of life is to surrender to Vishnu. And he's saying that, oh, this is Vishnu, don't give him anything. When everything belongs to him, so nothing belongs to you. And as soon as Bali Maharaj realized, okay, this is Vishnu himself, so that is what I have to surrender to him completely. I have to give him everything that he wants. It's all his anyways. So a spiritual master will take you towards Krishna, not away from him. So yes, Mataji, perfect example. So in that situation also Guru was rejected. Anybody else would like to add anything? It is just, very difficult to imagine this mood of Draupadi, she's a pure devotee, so it is very difficult for somebody like me to imagine, but he had killed her 5 sons and she was still, feeling compassion for him. This is very difficult to imagine, but also similar, like in prayers of Queen Kunti, we will read in next chapter how Kunti Maharani prayed to Lord Krishna that, if give me more discomforts, more problems, because that way I'll always be thinking of you. Kirtanya Sadahari, right? Trinadapi Sunichara. So those pure devotees are so tolerant, and in actually difficult situations also they find a way. They see Krishna in everything. Even in difficult situations, they see Krishna's mercy only, and they see that this is a way to advance towards Krishna. So she was asking for more difficulties in life, because that is a better opportunity to advance towards Krishna than if you have comforts.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is just reminding me of the mood of Mother Sita also that we read in Ramayana, that how she never wanted Sri Ram to kill anybody in front of her. So always, we see that all the fights when Sri Ram had to kill demons, he had to, be away from Mother Sita to be able to kill them. So that's one of the reasons when these Khal and Dushan, they came after Shupnaka's nose was cut, and they came with their armies. Shri Ram sent Mother Sita with Lakshman to in a cave, so that she can't see all the demons being killed, because if she sees it, she will not let him kill the demons. So they're so it said that the nature is such that she did not even knowing that they are there to harm them and kill them, she did not want anybody to be killed, even demons, in front of their eyes. So that's what I was remembered. And then it is said that when she learned that, after that she said that she told Sri Ram that you always carry these weapons and you are killing all the demons. So that's why in Krishna Avatar, Krishna is not really killing most of the demons by the hands. A lot of the demons he killed just by bare hands and not necessarily with weapons. So this I remembered of those pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would anyone else like to share or add anything? This is such a nice point Hirbi Prabhu shared. So yes, we see that in Mother Sita also. Yes, the same compassion, not just also I think nature of women to not see any violence in front of them is probably also being manifested here in Mother Draupadi. Shall we keep moving? Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, would anyone like to read this? Raksha Mataji, want to read?
Yes, Mataji, I can try. Sarahasyo dhanurveda.
Sarahasyo dhanurveda.
Sorry, Mataji. Savisara gopa samyama.
Savi
Sargopasyamah
Ashtragramascha bhavata.
Astragramascha bhavata.
Shikshito yad anugrahat.
Shikshito yad anugrahat.
It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. Okay, who's saying this? Okay. I read the
Whatever
prophet.
Draupadi is saying.
Ah. Dhanurveda, or military science, was taught by Dronacharya with all its confidential secrets of throwing and controlling by Vedic hymns. Gross military science is dependent on material weapons, but finer than that is the art of throwing the arrows, saturated with Vedic hymns, which act more effectively than gross material weapon like machine guns or atomic bombs. The control is by Vedic mantras or the transcendental science of sound. It is said in Ramayana that Maharaj Dashrath, the father of Lord Sri Ram, used to control arrows by sound only. He could pierce his target with his arrow by only hearing the sound, without seeing the object. So this is a finer military science than that of gross material military weapons used nowadays. Arjun was taught all this, and therefore Draupadi wished that Arjun feel obliged to Acharya Drona for all these benefits. And in the absence of Dronacharya, his son was his representative. That was the opinion of the Lord, good lady. Mataji, can you please read
Yes,
them?
Mataji,
I'm sorry.
no problem. Okay, I'll start again. Dhanurveda, or military science, was taught by Dronacharya with all its confidential secrets of throwing and controlling by Vedic hymns. Gross military science is dependent on material weapons. Actually, let me see. Dhanurveda was taught by Dronacharya with all its confidential secrets of throwing and controlling by Vedic hymns. Okay, hold on. Nirbhay Prabhu will read.
Hare Krishna. Gross military science is dependent on material weapons, but finer than that is the art of throwing the arrows saturated with Vedic hymns, which act more effectively than gross material weapons like machine guns or atomic bombs. The control is by Vedic mantras or the transcendental science of sound. It is said in the Ramayana that Maharaj Dashrath, the father of Lord Sri Ram, used to control arrows by sound only. He could pierce his target with his arrow by only hearing the sound without seeing the object. So this is a finer military science than that of the gross material military weapons used nowadays. Arjun was taught all this, and therefore Draupadi wished that Arjun feel obliged to Acharya Drona for all these benefits. And in the absence of Dronacharya, his son was his representative. That was the opinion of good lady Draupadi. It may be argued why Dronacharya, a rigid Brahmin, should be a teacher in military science. But the reply is that a Brahmana should become a teacher regardless of what his department of knowledge is. A learned Brahmin should become a teacher, a priest, and a recipient of charity. A bona fide Brahmin is authorized to accept such professions. Hare Krishna. So here in the translation, I'll just read that again. It was by Dronacharya's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. So here we see that Draupadi is, as now Ashwatthama is bound in front of, brought by Arjuna and with Sri Krishna, Ashwatthama is brought like an animal in front of them bound. And Draupadi is feeling compassionate because he is a Brahmana as well as he is the son of Arjun's teacher, Dronacharya. So she's saying that she's feeling compassionate on both those levels because it's a custom to respect a Brahmana, even though she's not thinking that like what Krishna explained and then Prabhupada explaining that he's not really a Brahmana. He really doesn't deserve the same respect a Brahmana does. He has not acted like a Brahmana and not Acharya, so he should be rejected as such. So, but she is still thinking because it's customary, as Natasha said earlier, that she is so ingrained with this thought that a son of a Brahmana in the absence of their father should be treated like a Brahmana. It is really this term that we have learned recently, the Brahman, um, what's it, Brahman Bhuja? What's it called? Brahmana
Dvij Brahman.
Dvija.
Dvij.
Dvija.
Brahma
Yes.
Bandhu.
Brahma Bandhu, yes, Brahma Bandhu. So Brahma Bandhu is basically somebody who is a relative of a Brahmana, but he is not really qualified with the knowledge that a Brahman has. So he is not really qualified to be called a Brahman. So that's why the term Brahman, this Bandhu is the correct term, because they are not really Brahmanas, but some people in the society still give them the respect that a Brahmana should be getting. And unfortunately, these people have thus taken it upon themselves that they deserve it by birth, the respect that a Brahmana deserves, which is not true, and Prabhupada has declared that multiple times. So here in the purport, further it is described that as Draupadi is almost chastising Arjuna, that see that you learned all this weaponry and all this by your teacher Dronacharya, and see how are you treating his son, who should be given the respect of a Brahmana. So she's being kind of sentimental and not really going by the Shastric principles, like Krishna explained earlier, that he is an aggressor, and thus he doesn't deserve the this kind of respect. So he is ideally should be killed because he's an aggressor, and he falls in the category of those in the Shastras who can be killed or should be killed. So anyways, so this is Mother Draupadi is here very her sentiments are being explained over here. And then the art about, again, we have talked a few times recently about how the weaponry in the ancient times was much more advanced than the weaponry used now. So the weaponry used in ancient times was just it could be manipulated just by the use of sound or by the use of the Vedic hymns. So Vedic hymns used to put in power into, we have seen how in a blade of grass power can be put by Vedic hymns, so that even a blade of grass can act like a Brahmastra, right? And we have seen multiple situations where even a blade of grass has been used, just empowered by the Vedic hymns, to kill people. So, and then we have learned about how Brahmastras, or so many other weapons, they are so specific in the person they're going to be acting against, not like a mass destruction. If they want to do mass destruction, they can do that, but they are so specific. That is why it's called as finer art. It is much finer. The art of controlling those ancient weapons was much finer than the gross. Gross means you use this and then everything in the area that just blows up. It's not discriminating who or what is it affecting. It's just going to produce that certain effect, and that's it. But the more finer act is that you can separate out that, okay, this person I'm going to hurt and this person I'm not going to hurt, right? So that is the finer art. So that is what is being talked about. And then is talked about is, how Dashrath Maharaj used to send Shabd Bhedi bands. The Shabd Bhedi means by the sound, it would just follow the sound and hit the target. But then we know how the calamity happened by Krishna's providence. And then he said, I would not be using the Shabd Bhedi Ban anymore. But he had that power that he could use it. So that's what the finer military science has been talked about here. But again, all these things Arjuna knew and was taught all this by Dronacharya, who is his teacher. And then Prabhupada goes on to describing that even Dronacharya was a Brahmin. So why was he teaching all these military science? That's a department of the Kshatriyas. No, but it said that the Brahmanas are the ones who impart knowledge. It's just the department of the knowledge may be different. So the department has the military science, but the teacher is a Brahmana. So even though he's teaching military science, the teacher himself is a Brahmana, and that is the position of a Brahmana. That a Brahmana is the right person to impart knowledge and be a teacher, as well as these are the, it said that a learned Brahman should become a teacher, a priest, and a recipient of charity. So a Brahmana doesn't accumulate wealth for themselves. That's not their job. A Kshatriya has to. A Kshatriya, a king has to accumulate some wealth to manage the praja and to manage the people. They have to collect taxes a little bit. They have to manage the funds and all that. A Brahmana's job is not that. A Brahmana's job is to just, impart knowledge and then collect alms. That's it. Not to accumulate the wealth. So that's it. Hare Krishna. Please share. Other devotees kindly share if there are any other points they want to mention. So you want to go ahead or you want to stop?
Okay, so if nobody has anything to share, we can stop. We'll chant Hare Krishna 11 times.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Adiki Jai. Hare Krishna.